All right, everyone. We are here with War 9, the rematch against GT40. They're currently sitting in number 1, and we are sitting in number 2, so this is the fight for first place at the moment. I will be taking in Sorcerer Supreme, Mr. Negative, and Odin. I'll be sharing Path 2 in Section 1. I will have Path 8 in Section 2. I have 2 mini-bosses, and I am on boss duty against Hemdal. So here I place an Odin Prefight on what was Killmonger on the second node for a Kitty Pride that will take Fury on EMP later. So this is where we were able to cross, and my team doesn't really permit me to take anything before this Manthing, and it's been the story of the season that I take this Manthing on node 20 with Mr. Negative. So fairly confident about this fight. However, I do know how south it can go and how quickly it can go south. So the game plan at the start is just really the most important, and executing it flawlessly leads to an easy victory. So if you guys have not seen me take this fight, this is probably the 7th time I've taken this fight. Only 2 wars without Man-Thing here. The game plan is parry, reparry at the beginning, and throw a heavy. That should give us a total of 5 light energy if we convert the Fury buff, and then parry and medium light. That puts us at 5 hits. The evade counter is the 6th. Here we're waiting out Unstoppable from the global. I have parried. There's the armor up, so no Unstoppable. Parried, 2 hits. The 10th went in to trigger the Hit Me I Dare You armor up, and there was no Unstoppable there, so we could safely evade counter into SP2, and that will do it. So minimal shock damage, more than enough dark energy throw in the SP2, so pretty well executed for taking Man-Thing there. My next fight was Juggernaut here on Mixmaster. My safety net when using Sorcerer Supreme for matchups like this, or the boss, or pretty much any unstoppable armor champ on a node where there's a lot of health, is to start with Ingenuity placed and start with a PS1 to get an early slow and her nullification aura up, so that we can quickly get to SP3 and use that slow debuff time to actually fight and build a little bit more power. And then when we are back in Ingenuity with an SP3, throw the SP3 so that we have the permanent slow rune. Then we can be careless about throwing special attacks, since every special will place a slow debuff. So you saw me place 2 Odin pre-fights here, and before the fight I made sure that they were there as both the diamond and showing up in the pre-fight screen, so that we don't have any bugged pre-fights. But the 2 Odin pre-fights were really just throwaways. They'll just save me from taking excessive damage if I end up getting hit in any of my future Sorcerer Supreme fights, including this one, where Juggernaut could spend some time without a slow debuff and then build up prowess, and I either miss time in SP1 or I get SP3'd. So I also used a special defense boost, I believe, for this fight. So fight's going pretty well. We already got to the SP3 in Ingenuity. Now we can start throwing special attacks in any blessing at any time where I see fit, just so that we can get the slow debuff on, start piling up some armor breaks, start building up the healing aura from blocking, so that we can make up some item use later. But this fight's going pretty well, pretty straightforward. Just not going to clear things the fastest way possible, but it's a pretty safe fight. And I decide from my last experience using Sorcerer Supreme and basically mistiming a special attack and having the AI block it instead, I decide to wait for heavy attacks for openings this war, just to get into the practice of it, and being comfortable with it. Not to say that I'm not usually comfortable, but I could tell that last boss fight that it was a major cause of just not being comfortable close. So that goes down easy. Last Mr. Negative fight here, we have Tigra. I went ahead and placed or put on Resonate for this fight just in case. I'm not going to use a PS1 here. I actually accidentally used one. I wanted to use an invulnerability boost, so I actually wasted a PS1 here. But The reason I don't care to use a PS1 here is the rich get richer. There are times, or there is a good bit of time, where I have Fury buffs and Tigra has none from doing parry heavies. And I'd rather just use that power gain to get to SP2, and it actually times out pretty well, or lines up pretty well with the amount of dark energy that I have. So you see here those 3 buffs, technically just the 1, has gotten me enough power, and then in this next set of heavy attacks, it's going to push us to SP2 pretty easily. So here I'll evade counter into SP2 to end it. And now I'm just really going to bait out special attacks, or try to, if she's willing to. She threw her SP1 there, and down she went nice and easy. So it's not, since there's no buffs on that champion for that node, it is not, the PS1 is not needed. I go ahead and throw on my Mystic power back and special attack damage boosts here, as I'm taking Colossus on Stun Reflect with Sorcerer Supreme as well. And again, same game plan. I've placed the Ingenuity pre-fight, and I'm starting with a PS1 and making sure it's there. And just like Juggernaut, we're going to throw this SP1, preferably off a heavy attack. And he tried there, so I combo since there's no, or I decide to throw a couple hits since there's no unstoppable, and then throw the SP1. So now we've got the slow, so we're going to let Mystic Dispersion and some combat, or her passive power gain, build us to SP3. It's going to line up nicely with us being just outside of Ingenuity. So this here will put us there, and now we have the permanent slow rune. So now this fight can pretty much be over as long as we are connecting special attacks and taking advantage of those openings when throwing them. So yeah, this fight's a little bit slower because obviously there's not a combat rate factor that allows me to cycle special attacks a little bit faster. So you are going to see SP2 thrown, then SP1 thrown, then SP2 thrown, then SP1 thrown. And that's kind of the rotation that ended up occurring for this node. And it works out nicely, but again, Sorcerer Supreme doesn't kill anything super fast. She does do a lot of damage, especially if you can build the armor breaks and any SP2 or SP3 while in ferocity, but given the fact that Colossus can't be armor broken unless you're using a tech champion, that's going to slow this fight down. So we're a little past 50% here, and it's a minute and a half almost into the fight. There, retaliated late. I knew it was going to be a bad idea. Did not mean to block the last hit of that SP1, but we're fine, we're safe. And just falling right back in to the rhythm of the fight. Approaching 2 minutes here, and we have not gotten into Assassin's range yet. But still pretty safe. And yeah, this is the fight, pretty much. I'm also finding with this fight that I'm not able to throw special attacks. I could, not throwing special attacks super crazy amount, since I'm not able to keep more than a couple slow debuffs up. But it's fine. Down he goes. All right, and then my final fight of the war, Heimdall Boss. Never taken him before. Obviously, he hasn't really been a boss prior to this season. Same game plan that I always have with Sorcerer Supreme. Ingenuity, pre-fight, PS1, throw it, combo, build to SP3, mindful of when the slow debuff is going to fall, and then throw SP3 while in Ingenuity. So that'll get us through the start. A couple things to keep in mind with Hemdal and using Sorcerer Supreme. Unless you nullify that True Strike debuff or work out the spacing with SB1 and retaliating with your heavy attack, you will not want to throw a basic attack into him, or you will get auto blocked. However, If you beta heavy or intercept him with a special attack, he will not auto block the special attack. It is just basic attacks that he will auto block. So that's what makes her a safe counter here. If you see the true strike, it pretty much means you either land that heavy because you've learned the spacing, or you wait until your next special attack. And then once you get this slow on, the game's pretty much over. You just have to be mindful of that auto block. So you're seeing me not retaliate SP1s when I can. I'm trying to block bait heavy attacks. And he was being pretty stubborn there about throwing one, so I went ahead and did that. And then he decides to throw the heavy from across the map for no reason. But this is fine. This is letting us back him up. Here I think I had the spacing, so I threw it. And there's no true strike there since we used the heavy attack. We're just throwing our SP2. It's built quite a few buffs, so an SP1 here wouldn't be too bad of an idea, but we're still getting pushed to SP2. An SP1 here would not be too bad of an idea, but we got pushed to SP2. And it's fine, he's stacking plenty of armor breaks, so the damage is really starting to get up there, and just was not thinking. Paid too close attention to timing and went in on the last hit. But as you can see, it's a pretty safe fight. In my duel attempts and my practice attempts, the one thing you had to kind of concern yourself with was getting cornered. So if it looks like he's being passive and not really willing to throw his SP1 and he's got the true strike up, try your best to hit into him. And I believe this SP3 knocks him out. So he had 5 armor breaks going into this, and I'm not in ferocity. And here I figured when I come out of this, I'm going to end it, and then it just took the huge chunk off. So that was the end of my war. Another boss solo under my belt. Still want to get the revenge on Black Panther. Our BG did not have a great war and lost to their BG 1-3, which was not helpful at all considering we lost this war by time and technically 2 deaths. So we are 7-2 on the season, and both defeats come from GT40, which is pretty unfortunate. But honestly, if you're playing for first place, that's the kind of rematch I don't mind having when first place is on the line between first and second. So yeah, in a perfect world, you'd probably have it in the last week of wars. But when you do have that opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. So we didn't. This will hopefully not knock us out of top 3 and still give us a pretty solid chance of either being third or possibly second. But it'll depend on win-loss in the following week. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit subscribe, like, follow, share, and I will catch you guys at the next video.